unmuted, camera is on. And let me share the screen. All right.
It's 5:31. I'll go ahead and call.
Okay, great. I will call the roll. Duncan Campbell. Susan Snyder Salmon.
Present.
Polly Ruth Sturgeon.
Here.
Don Hall.
Aye.
Debbie Reed.
Here.
Doug Wilson.
Here.
Devin Blankenship. And Don Maxwell.
Present.
All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members in person. That constitutes quorum.
Devin is 12 hours away.
I thought he was traveling.
Yes.
Right. So first on our agenda is approval of meeting minutes for March 18th, 2024. Those are in your packet. I will open the floor to discussion, comments, edits, questions.
Not to sound like a smart ass, but I was at the meeting and I'm not listed as among the attendees.
Ah, okay.
That's a good thing to change. Yeah. I had to double check, but I don't say much in these meetings, but I did say something that way. I seconded something, so.
Okay. We're definitely there. Okay.
I remembered a lot of the discussion.
Okay. Thanks for that catch. I'll fix that.
I think we should vote on whether or not we add to the list.
But I didn't see anything else.
And once again, Drew, you did do such a great job with those.
Thank you.
A lot of chit chat. You minimize the chit chat, but focus in on the content.
Thank you.
We all appreciate that.
Remember chit chat, and it will suddenly become very important, so you have to really pay attention throughout the whole thing, so. I just want to keep the record as best as we can.
It can. Well, I move we accept with the addition or as Steve Polly to the list.
Sorry, that. Okay. We have a motion and a second for the meeting minutes for March. Date is March 18th, 2024. Polly Resurgent,
Yes.
Don Hall.
Yes.
Debbie Reed,
Yes.
Doug Wilson,
Yes.
Don Maxwell,
Yes.
Susan Snyder Salmon.
Yes.
All right, minutes are approved. Next on our agenda is administrative business item, PUO 23-6, North Park 2 PUD Outline Plan Amendment 1. This has been continued to the July 16th Plan Commission meeting. It'll be listed as a final hearing. Should the Plan Commission vote to continue it again, because it did go to the Plan Commission last month, and it was continued. We would see it again, obviously at this board. The updates I have for it is the written commitment, that blue text there, that's a link. It's a rather lengthy document. We looked at that last time we met. But as part of today's discussion as well, members of or representatives of Bynum Faneuil and this petition requested that they say some or talk with you all, be a part of the discussion. So I think we have online Daniel Butler from Bynum Faneuil. So if he can be allowed to speak.
And I'm Mark Nagel with Milestone Contractors.
Thank you. Okay.
And AJ Chandler with Milestone Contractors. Daniel is our engineer. He's online. So
Okay.
we're the petitioner. Daniel's our engineer.
All right.
So, yeah, we just wanted to chat with you about what was going on and whatnot and talk about it so you weren't just all looking at it on paper and see where we go from here.
Okay, so, let's see. Daniel, do you have anything to present, or is this more of just, if the board has any questions? Looks like he's still on mute.
I don't think we have anything other than what you already have, Drew.
Okay.
Um,
You might want to check and see if Butler can speak, because I think he was planning on talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says he's listed as an attendee, or presenter, excuse me. So
He's just muted.
you should have the ability to unmute. Tech services, do you know if there's any issues with him unmuting?
There shouldn't be, but I'm turning the chat on just in case he needs to say something.
And I can go ahead and start if you want to, if that's fine, and Daniel can chime in if he gets connected, so. If you're not familiar with Milestone Contractors, we're a heavy highway contractor all through the state of Indiana. We've been in Bloomington, since 2009. And where we started down this whole process is we're not developers, we're not developing the property, we have no desire to develop the property. But as a major heavy and highway road contractor, we have clean fill coming off a lot of our jobs, and it's got to go somewhere. And we're constantly looking for places to go. And quite frankly, a lot of it right now is going to Lawrence or Greene or Martin County. It's getting hauled out of the county. Costs us money to truck it and burns an incredible amount of diesel fuel running back and forth. So one thing as part of it, Milestone and the Heritage Group, our parent company's initiatives was, hey, let's try and reduce our emissions, reduce diesel fuel. And so we decided, okay, let's use the money we're going to pay for trucking, purchase a piece of property local, and basically be
Without the quarries.
and be able to get rid of that material without burning, 500,000 gallons of diesel fuel or so. So we identified this property and then started down this road working with planning commission and whatnot to come up with a plan to hopefully be able to get rid of the waste material and turn it into a viable, developable piece of property eventually, because right now it's not. Like I said, we would never develop it, but it could potentially be developed at some point. So we've been working, I don't know, 6 months probably, and with different county agencies, different coming up to where we are, and put together some written commitments based on our meetings and the planning commission meetings on how we could, how could we do this in the best way possible. Worked with Hydrology Inc. and Jason Croft, to investigate the site for karst features and things like that and whatnot. Came up with a plan and some commitments to protect those. Pollution monitoring, things like that. And a fairly lengthy, I think Drew mentioned it, a fairly lengthy commitment document that we've put together and submitted. Went to the planning commission last time, and I think everyone was kind of on board with that. And then Devin Blankenship was there, I believe, and talked about some concerns you guys had. And so the county voted on it and then continued it. Give us a chance to come and talk and kind of explain what we're doing and try and really understand. And we've designated some areas that we are not going to fill because of their historic nature and that in the commitments and whatnot. And so just wanted to come and kind of see where we go from here and answer any questions I guess you guys have, if we could.
Is Bynum Fanyo gonna be kind of the brains of how this is all done?
They're put the design together. Yeah. They designed, we have a whole design for the project. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Polly, I'm the board's chair, and I wrote the letter that Devin spoke at that meeting.
Okay.
And just to kind of refresh everyone's memory too. So as a board, we certainly, and express this in the letter, believe that construction and development can be done thoughtfully in regards to the county's historic preservation fabric. But the main points that we had as a board were that filling a 30-acre site with up to 50 feet of fill would alter the visual continuity of the quarry landscape, and affect the scenic viewshed of the neighboring Limestone Heritage Park that's directly across the road. And it would especially affect the entry corridor of this Limestone Heritage area that you enter as soon as you come into Bloomington. I know that we, as a board, we read the response that you wrote last time we met, and we appreciated that you would want to add the HB overlay to those sites on the north part of the property. We think that's great. We wanted to come up with sort of a response, and I know Devin kind of took that upon himself to kind of take all of our collective thoughts, and you were going to read what Devin's response was.
Good. Is that okay with everybody?
Please.
We'll just read it into the record here. And he is in travel mode, so I have offered to read his prose on his behalf. During the I-69 study period, it was recommended to this board that the area be designated as a part of a landscape district with the understanding that active quarry lands may change while still maintaining their inherent use. We request that the developers meet with the board to begin the designation process for the highlighted area as an historic overlay district at the local, state, and national levels. This area can be a part of a thematic designation for the National Register of Historic Places with neighboring county properties. We request that original prominent names of quarries and structures be documented in development plans. Should any part of the development, roadways, or other structures be the subject of naming discussions, we recommend that the Historic Preservation Board of Review be involved in the review of related or appropriate names for the area. Covering the landscape with 50 feet of fill as opposed to a natural 5 to 20 feet of overburden that would have been found there previously alters the landscape beyond both its industrial use and its pre-industrial form, masking the original use as a quarry. Now, regarding water movement, several concerns about water movement and retention have been discussed. While we sit on the world's finest dimensional limestone, our local karst topography and the recent restoration of the Alexander Memorial serve as reminders that water, particularly with that high acidity, can erode key limestone characteristics. In addition, the movement of water, the presence of finger ridges and ravines often inform us of the county's prehistory. Alterations to those systems can muddle the interpretation of our history. Slope and height. One concern is the slope of the land and the height of the maximum fill area. While we understand it matches a neighboring property to the south, it may have been filled beyond a natural level. What other slopes in town match the proposed slope in grade and height? That's a question. What other slopes in town match that proposed slope in grade and height? Unfortunately, the board has learned that screening with trees, and this is an issue that we've discussed as a board, screening with trees is a temporary solution at the county level. If the board is to consider that trees as a screening, the maintenance and replanting and replenishing, I'm adding that, must be designed to continue in perpetuity beyond the control of the current landowners and not be contingent on the maintenance or lack thereof of the NDOT right-of-way. Then he adds expertise. Last month, one of the commission members apologized to the petitioners about the views of experts being overruled by Historic Preservation Board. While I, meaning Devin, do not believe it was spoken with ill intent, it is a good time to reflect on the level of expertise in these discussions. From the planning office to the petitioners and their legal counsel and to those of us on the Historic Preservation Board of Review, we are incredibly fortunate to have a range of experts. Our board, and here he says, board, feel free to step in, has Indiana licensed social studies teacher, history professors, geologists specializing in limestone, specialists in specific structures such as dry stack stone fences, Indiana barns, industry specific and limestone, genealogists, and more. All of us are working to design the best possible future for Monroe County residents, and we appreciate the range and forms and areas of expertise working to that end.
But some of us used to swim in quarries.
He didn't mention that.
I just thought I'd throw it in. I'm a quarry.
So thank you for letting me battle through that.
So our plan is to, after tonight's discussion, use those talking points that Devin summarized as part of our informal discussion that had been happening in between meetings. But we wanted to, before we write that letter for the next plan commission meeting, speak with you. But sort of the big three, and correct me if I'm missing something, the big three issues that we wanted to address were making sure that the names of quarries are documented on maps like this. This will enter into a historic record. It's really important that these names be documented for perpetuity and future archive work. We also wanted to recommend that we be involved with naming the road, any roads or future construction. We've seen areas in the county where they've introduced things like Breckenridge Road, when we have a lot of local history that could have been used as recommendations for road names. And then we definitely want to discuss how to respect the slope and height of the overall area. I think that's our top concern.
So just to be clear, and it's very difficult when you're looking at a 30-acre plan, all of the fill will be below the elevation of the road. So like if you're across the road to the north in that park, it's below the highway. So you would never be able to see it from the property on the north because you would see the highway first.
So it's 30 feet from the bottom of the quarry hole up, that's what you're saying? So that it would be below grade of the road?
Yeah. It's difficult, you know, when you start looking at, you can see how small contour lines are on there, but
Yeah.
but it is,
I mean, it's steep.
it's a 3-to-1 mowable slope, which is, you know, typical for all your highway, actually shallower than a lot of your highway slopes.
Still. I thought it was 50 feet, wasn't it 50?
Yeah, at one point we had a 50 feet.
And I can get you, we can put together like a visual matching up the contour lines to the road. If
Maybe an
that,
elevation would be very helpful, like when you have a house built, you have an elevation of where things sit from the horizontal. That might
Yes.
be useful.
and we get that, we've tried to put that, it's difficult with you know, you've got kind of a different site here to try and put that together, but we might be able to match some things up to kind of, if I can send that to Drew, maybe to kind of show what elevation matches what elevation, like out on the highways and that, if that would be helpful.
That would be helpful, yes.
Okay.
I think we were concerned that it seemed like it might be as high as the ramp. And the entrance to 130.
No, I don't have all the exact dimensions in my head.
It's just hard to guess.
Right, I totally
So
understand.
yeah, that would be great if you could.
Yeah, we can put something together like that.
Does anybody know if this is where they're planning on putting the jail, the new jail? Is this that location? Is it near that?
It's relatively in the area, how
Just-
it's in Hunter Valley,
It's where Hunter Valley Road
Yeah.
cuts across, yeah.
but that, do you know
Reading
where,
something and seen it correspond.
do you know where the intersection of Hunter Valley and 46? It's a rather large intersection now as you're going to Ellisville. And then turn west, kind of southwest, you're going Curry.
Yeah.
That area, Kreider, I believe, owns it
Okay.
at this point.
If you're going from
Or they're kind of across from where they're
To
gonna put the hospital.
Third Street, and you take
That's
that
my understanding.
ramp, it's that area off to the right.
Okay, yeah,
You know where the old gas station is that got moved? Behind that.
yeah. Okay.
Any other questions for the petitioners?
So this will be going to the July 16th Planning Commission hearing, which the next meeting of the board, of the Historic Preservation Board is Monday, July 15th. So there's another opportunity to discuss any materials that the petitioner or representative provides. If they are able to provide that before that meeting, I can disseminate that information to you all so that we can have a discussion.
Cool.
Or you can have reviewed the materials before the meeting on the 15th. That way, it doesn't seem like it's all at once. And then you have to come up with a response within 4 hours or less for the next meeting. That's going to be coming.
And we're so good at that time, right?
Additionally, in the planning commission stage, as a reminder, the planning commission operates as an advisory board to the county commissioners. Be another level of work session and formal session that this petition will be discussed at in front of the county commissioners. Those meetings are Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. It's a little bit different time schedule. The work session occurs after the formal session, each of those. Which can happen sometimes around noon or 1 o'clock, depending on how long their agenda is. And people are welcome to attend the work session or the formal session. The formal session for the county commissioners is a public hearing, so there is period for public comment during that time as
Is
well.
that a weekly thing?
Typically, yes, they do have some dates, Wednesdays, if you will, that they don't have meetings, but they usually inform us ahead of time that they won't be having a commissioner meeting that day. But yeah, generally speaking, it's every Wednesday, 10 a.m.
If you're gone from mine, thing you got cut off, or
I sent him a text and tried to call and it went straight to
if
voicemail.
something happened and there was something that he wanted to say and couldn't say, would you send that to us too?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Daniel Butler and
Yeah.
I did think he had a couple things to add tonight. So.
Yeah.
Thanks, Drew. Get it back to us.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's looking like he's still not unmuting.
So he has control of the lowest name.
Mhm.
And we'll get you that document well before that next meeting. So.
Okay.
And we can be more than welcome to come back again if you have additional questions.
Okay. Yeah,
Just let us know.
okay, the packet for this board, just like the planning commission, goes out a week before. So any information that you want me to include in a packet for this board should be submitted by July 8th.
Okay.
At the latest.
I don't mean to be a fly in the ointment,
No problem.
but something that really concerns me. I hate to see the area turn into a dump. And without going into great detail tonight, I am familiar with people calling, wanting to get rid of loads of, they always call it dirt. They always call it clean. They always say doesn't have any rebar in it or gosh knows what. And then when they get there, it's a totally different story. So I'm familiar with turning down lots of trucks, lots of companies that come in who want to fill in the quarries or help you build. That's I'm trying to be respectful because I know you people are respectful.
It's probably, you've got driving trucks and then dumping them somewhere.
That's part of the commitment too, right? That we've-
I know, I've
Doesn't happen on every site.
I've read everything as thoroughly as I possibly could, and because it's a lot to digest several times. But, and I see all the everything, in the paperwork. But that being said, what happens here or at the plan commission or the county commissioners and what's approved and what happens in real life.
Well, this dump site will be only for us. We will not be accepting anything from anyone else.
You can have guards on it or something.
We'll have it gated. And that's simply because environmental concerns, because if someone dumps something contaminated in there, it becomes our problem immediately. So,
I appreciate that it's stated.
so yeah, we will have, you know, this is not going to be a commercial site by any means. We will not let other people dump in there. It's for material.
But you all will be bringing in close to 50 feet of fill. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't remember the exact elevations back there on the backside of it,
That's a lot.
but somewhere around that size.
It's a lot.
Is it primarily stuff that gets ground down from an existing road surface to prepare to be resurfaced?
No, it's, that stuff is way too valuable to put in
Okay.
floors. That's very valuable. We take all that to our asphalt plant and recycle it, and it
Okay.
goes back in the asphalt. This will be, as we're putting pipe in the ground and digging out trenches for pipe. As we're digging out for, you know, curb or cuts or things like that, you know, we're working on First Street right now, and there's a bunch of fill that comes off there. We're working on the tunnel, the Clear Creek tunnel right now, and there's lots of material that's coming out of there that's having to be gotten rid of.
Imagine a bit of sludge too.
Out of the Clear Creek,
Yeah.
you know, it's.
It's been there a while.
Yeah, and it's safer than you would think.
Really?
It was surprising.
Is it all unconsolidated material or are you getting into bedrock when what do you consider fill? Would that be bedrock or just sediment, soil?
There's times when we have to beat rock out, yeah, like on First Street to put pipe in. So yeah, there would be the crushed rock, you know, that we gotta bust out of the trenches.
So you just cut through and gravel it out.
Yeah, cut through the rod, put the pipe in, backfill it with sand.
I will check one more time to see if Daniel Butler has.
Do you have any questions for us about our concerns?
Um,
I think you have them.
I think we understand what they are. I hope we can get to something that's workable. That's been our goal all the way along. We've worked a long time with the county and the commitments and trying to come up with something that's workable for everybody. It's trying to do it right. I mean, we're not just trying to shove dirt in the hole. But it's I mean, this material's got to somewhere. There's no doubt about that. There's very, very limited. It was even brought up at the last meeting by one of the county, what's that?
Kelsey Vitania, the municipal coordinator.
Yeah, brought up that there's a real need to get rid of this material somewhere that's very, very limited in this county.
I guess I have a question. What is the time frame? I don't recall seeing that on the documents for filling this in. Is this like a 1 year you estimate to fill up to 50 feet, or is this a 10-year estimate?
It depends on how much work we get. You know, I mean, that's our work's low bid, so we don't get to always choose our projects. You know, assuming at the rates we've been getting work, you know, looking historically, we think it's around a 5-year commitment to get it done. If work slows down, as the economy changes, I mean, there's always those factors.
It seems like things are slowing down in town.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. I just look forward to reading
Yeah.
this.
Additional information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll plan to have a response and discuss it at the next meeting and then another recommendation letter towards the.
Okay, thanks. Well, I appreciate your time and I appreciate you listening to us. And like I say, if you need anything additional, you're gonna get a hold of Daniel and we'll get you whatever you need.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for reading the letter.
Yeah.
I thought it was succinct.
He summarized what we had all talked about. Well,
Okay, next on the agenda is the CLG annual report form. which currently for us is due on Friday, June 21st, is our extended deadline. And I have most of the report completed. I still need a bit of information from this board. As a reminder, make sure you put all of your education credits.
You've done that yet?
Yes, put that into the spreadsheet as soon as you can so that I can tabulate it all and include it in the report. And get that posted in here. I'll resend the email with the link to everyone again. This evening. That'd be great. We didn't have any landmark designations in 2023. The Ben Owens Farmstead, that was actually 2022. So that does not include, that will be included in this reporting year. The National Register activities, although the board didn't actively participate in any National Register activities, there were 2 places in the county's jurisdiction that did receive approval. So I just listed those there, just for the record. These are just tabulations of other historic districts in town. There was no change in any of these, just like the last reporting year. So I just left those in here. Let's see. 7, that's the same. We just used the shard database. Some other things I've completed here. So this item 9, I will ask Polly or anyone else that would like to add more information to this, is the general preservation accomplishments. It's kind of just like a narrative of what we've been working on. So I was able to just summarize a few things, and I can share what I've got so far in an email. But I left out details about the Limestone Festival as well as the Limestone Teachers Workshop that Polly engaged in. So if we want to, if I could have some help coming up with some language that describes these events, that would be helpful. I covered a little bit of progress in the demolition delay ordinance. I covered our progress in involvement in road name petitions. I already included information about, a little bit of information about dry stone walls. Just a very brief snippet. So if there's anything you'd like for me to add into that.
I probably can add something to that. Are you gonna send this to us?
Yes, I'm gonna copy exactly this language tonight, and I'm gonna send it. So that if you could add anything, I can just
And this is due when I'm on the road the next 3 days.
write it. But I can request another extension, which is totally acceptable. I talked to Tammy about that before.
Yeah, I may need that because I'm slammed through Sunday.
Yes, that's hence the first extension I've been slammed as well, so. But they're very accommodating at the state level. They just want this information to be as accurate as possible, so.
Cool.
We're comfortable with that. And then I also,
There's been some outreach there. I know Duncan's done a couple of talks, but I don't think that he did those. I'm not sure if he did those as his role with this or his role in so many other things he's involved in. How does that work? I mean,
If he did it as part of the board, I think we would count it. If he's representing BRI or something, I think that's.
and I'm not sure with his talks at the History Center, how that was covered. But I know mine, I represented the board, so.
yes, so that would be something we would want to.
I'll
include in
add some
this
language.
Item.
And there's no way in God's green earth I'll have them to you by Friday.
Okay, I'll ask for an extension.
So throw it on me.
Fine.
I could have fun.
I do have one of the other items in here is a letter of like recommitment to like the requirements for the CLG. And I'll have Polly sign that this evening, but I also need to get Julie Thomas's signature. Hopefully I'll see her tomorrow evening to get that done. But I have no problem with asking for another extension for some other items.
And just say, board members traveling.
Sure. I also included in this last paragraph here, in the same item number, just all the section 106 reviews that were performed, as well as the numerous projects that were within the city of Bloomington and IU's jurisdiction that we've talked about during the calendar year of 2023 as well. I don't think we did anything
Thank
in
you, Ann.
IU jurisdiction.
No, that was 24. I think put everything touched IU.
There we go.
Is that the same project they were talking about? Yeah, I know, noticed that.
I call it the big dig. Yeah. Where Clear
It's
Creek
not
is at
expensive.
Kirkwood.
We did not have any certificate of approval statistics for this reporting period, so I left that there. Looking for highlights or other spots. Okay, so that's the signed letter. I have everyone's resumes. Those of you that wanted to provide updated resumes did so. And then I still have all the other ones from the last reporting period. So if there are any other changes in your resume, let me know, but.
I'm still retired.
Okay, I'll leave those in there.
It's rubbing it.
As for this commission documents, Tammy in 2022 just attached the electronic attendance policy, which I believe is still active. I'm going to talk to her about that.
That's the one about 5 in-person. clubs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. It was signed by Danielle in 2021, but I believe it's still, I think it's like in perpetuity as long as the hybrid meetings are still active. So I'm going to talk to Tammy and make sure that we can include that there, but we don't have any bylaws or other things like that. So I'll ask her about those things. And then I included a meeting packet from April 2023, which included meeting minutes and as well as the minutes for that April meeting as part of this report. The last thing is the resumes. So yeah, I'm going to send an email again to recap the link to the spreadsheet. So please add all the things that you can think of in there. And then I'm going to send out that paragraph for the narrative of what all things we did. So anyone that wants to add language to that can, and we can include that in the report. Yeah, it was, once I got really into the weeds of it, it started to flow a little bit better. So, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question,
Yes,
this is biannual.
yes. Every 2 years, yes.
Other than keeping on our toes about intentional education at work, is there anything that we can do on a regular basis at our meetings that might help gather at the end?
Help you.
Yeah, I think the narrative is the most difficult thing for me to perform because you are more aware of what you're doing and how the board is acting and what projects you're working on and what accomplishments you have.
My kindergartners are running.
Write it up as we do, like after we do it, send it to you. Maybe?
Possibly. I don't know if,
I have to keep track of it.
yeah. It could be a thing where.
I think it's really hard to gather after the fact, especially 2 years later.
Sure.
So having just done 2 years of minutes for an organization that had never done their minutes, it's like,
Right.
so if there's like 2 minutes in each meeting that we summarize, I don't know.
It could be, we could set up something where it is a business item every 6 months or at the end of every calendar year, where we just recap what we've all accomplished or what we're still working on.
Maybe
And
quarterly.
then, or even quarterly, and then from there, I can save those in a separate file, and then that'll be good record keeping from that moment on.
And a reminder that if you haven't done anything, you need to do something.
Exactly. Yep. So we can set up something like that.
Does that sound like a useful approach?
If it helps you.
Sure. Yes.
Thank you.
Quarterly recap.
Which it's a reminder, because we all get really busy, our calendars get really full, and we forget the importance of.
It's nice to share success stories while you're along the way. And things that you're working on, and other things like that. So I definitely concur that could be a beneficial.
Were you the one that said the one about the hotels, the historical hotels around? I think it was,
I might have,
it was a little while ago, but
yeah.
I was just checking that out again.
Yeah.
I was going to visit some house.
Yeah. I do send out emails when I have the time of the, I get emailed all the time from APC.
I appreciate that.
So, okay, I'll
Because I need
continue
to
to
look
do
at
this.
this.
And since we're talking about it, the Indiana Barn Foundation has its annual event next month, and it's in Greenfield at one of the big round barns. So you pay $25, you get a meal. It's a lovely day. So if you're looking for something to do,
Is this their annual meeting?
yes.
This isn't the barn tour.
No, it's not the barn
Barn tour.
tour, but it is around that
Yeah.
big red barn over there in Greenfield. And it's the meetings at the Hancock History Center, I think, and it's just a really nice venue and it is a $25 fee. But
You have an email that came to you that you could forward?
I certainly.
That would be really nice.
I usually go just because it's entertaining and
Sure.
fun to see everything.
That's all I have for the CLG report. Moving on to old business. I don't have any updates for any of these items. So I'll open it to the board if you have the updates to any of the items which are A through H. Item I, which is the Thomas HP overlay rezone, we will get to that after any updates you all want to share.
Well, I will add to to item E, with the on-ramp issue. I was at Reed Quarries last week and drove down Arlington Road and the Shotgun House is just obliterated.
Yeah, I saw it on Saturday night, and the roof is pretty much gone from it.
Stuff sticking through. So and our worst fear is that happened and that's just a reminder of,
I keep wanting to stop on my way home and say, what are you doing with those windows?
yeah.
You're gonna chase me off.
I did find my notes regarding the missing signs that my accountability issue is still there. Is you're gonna put up signs? How long does it take? It's been 2 years. And I drove around just 2 weeks ago, I drove around and they're still not up. So I think by next month I will have that specific language. We can maybe look at it again and I'll try to get it to you in advance. So we can just figure out maybe just a nice little inquiry or email that says, hey, what's the status of the signs that you promised 2 years ago? And we do have a new stone wall that's been noted. And the Lawrence County folks, I guess this usually comes later, but they want a stone wall presentation. And that's not part of this one. Let's see.
Get into I, do we want to discuss as a board anything about the North Park PUD, or do we want to leave that to emails? So that we can talk with the whole group. Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to draft another letter. Do you have any changes?
Maybe we can see what they're gonna give us.
I'm
Just wondering.
I was surprised to hear it wasn't gonna be above the grade of the rest.
Like anything they were.
No.
It does seem different, but it's been modified, has it not, since the beginning? Didn't they modify it after discussion?
I think there have been some modifications. I don't know to the extent of the
Thought it was not.
height of the fill. So I can, I will hopefully hear from Daniel Butler, more clear information about that. So I'll be on the lookout.
The map with the contours that they pointed out, if this is the road, it's a very steep grade right up from the road, so I don't see how that's not.
You said it's 3 and 1 and mowing and this kind of thing. Good luck mowing, fun. Yeah, that's not easy.
It seems like it has to be.
Yeah, I think clarification of that elevation issue is a concern, and I nicely summarized Evan's point. I think we should come back with, because I'm not sure that they picked up on the request that, you're gonna work with us to do the designation work.
I do think whatever we recommend, that if it is approved by the commissioners, we say that, what's the language? It's
Condition of
approved, then
approval.
Condition of approval.
Yeah.
That's it.
That we ask that they do submit an HP overlay.
And
So-
the intent is one thing, but intent of
What really happens? Very different. They can write this up all the pretty thing they want to. I've worked in construction with my dad for the first half of my life, and I know what they write out on paper does not happen.
Thank you. That's exactly my point.
Clean fill question still, I don't know how that's to be monitored or.
They're gonna gate it. Open it.
That was exactly my point, Don. You know.
I know exactly. They're
I
not
see they
trying
have
to
it
try.
too
They're
many
not dumping
times.
it there.
You know, we've just shut everybody off about, I'd say now about 7 or 8 years ago, and we are inundated with requests almost weekly, you know, and you don't know what's in there, you don't know.
And I get that they have to put it somewhere.
Sure,
I'm not,
I get it, I get it.
Nuclear waste, where does it go?
But here's another thing, you know, of course, this monkey wouldn't fall on our back, okay, unless they got into the designated area, okay? But it's my understanding that whatever goes in, all right, they would be liable for it if it is, you know, should we say some type of bad stuff, unless they, you know, like.
It's overloaded with something else.
I know. But that was exactly my point. Again, I wasn't trying to, you know, be a trouble.
Well, there's reality and there's what they put down on paper.
Oh, heavens.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
We know.
Experience shows us that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
Respectfully, if all of you were sitting where I sit daily and see what they try to bring in, I mean, it's a joke.
do you know, or maybe we could ask Ann if not, where in the county other fill sites are happening, like that aren't 40 sites?
I can ask if we can.
I can tell you about one at Lake Lemon.
Can I ask a general question? Maybe I don't have enough information here, but when you dig a trench and you put a pipe in, you put the dirt that you dug out of the trench back in the trench, don't you?
Well,
And if you're putting a pipe like that,
I think they're pretty big pipes.
Yeah.
well, it's pretty big.
'Cause it's carrying a lot of
Mountain, it's
water.
just gonna settle. So he said he put sand back in there. Is there a OSHA or environmental?
This leveling and water.
the bottom of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Dig it out.
They get the rock out, they're using, you know, solid rock, because.
Yeah, they're taking solid water.
But you know, the cable company and the electricity company won't put our lines in the ground because of that solid rock, but these guys are talking about busting through there like really easy, so.
The way they're doing that is great big excavators, not little bitty ones with hammers,
Yeah,
you know,
knock it to pieces.
just beat it out of there.
I'm glad that we made the point that whatever agreement we make with them is binding on whoever ends up with the property, as I understood it.
Yes.
Is that correct?
It should,
Yeah.
because it doesn't mean anything, because these guys can sell it.
So like 5 years.
Yes, we've learned a lot from Step Bender.
Yes.
Step Bender, you know. from that
Well, yeah,
situation.
and the whole tree thing, I so appreciated that. I think right, just after our last meeting, that's when they announced where they were thinking of putting the jail. And the
Did it
jail
sound like
would
it's
then
going
be
there?
adjacent to where, if I'm understanding correctly, sort of, I'm picturing the jail sort of to the Ellisville side of Hunter Valley, and yet what we were talking about is being the future educational and interpretive center might be to the east side. Am
I know where the Uplands Park is going, and I think I know where the jail's been proposed.
Yeah, and that's right in sight with this.
I think they're relatively close, right, Drew?
The jail site,
With a
I
park.
have
Uplands.
not seen the location of the new jail site. I haven't looked at that.
I know there was a
Proposed.
lot of pushback from Ellisville residents, concerned people in the area. So I don't know where it is now. That was just what, last week?
That doesn't really change anything. It's still the corridor right there where you could drive into Bloomington. To me.
We're into town.
North part, the northwest corner of 46 and 69. Yeah, that's right next to the Heritage Park.
Yeah, the Uplands Park.
Yeah, that's a good tourist driver.
Welcome to our county, here's our jail.
I thought it was next door. You know, I kept seeing a Proctor, but I.
Yeah.
Or enjoy our Heritage Park, but don't pick up hitchhikers.
Throughout.
No. No.
If they tunnel out, they may drown in the big whole court.
No.
I thought of that as being somewhat of a barrier to success, but
I have to
Let's
say,
do something off.
what happens in driver's ed, in Hendricks County, we drove into Putnam County, we saw those signs, kids, I buy them.
Putnamville,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it allowed to say
do not pick
something?
up the chuggers.
Is it allowed to say something off the record for a second?
The meeting is recorded.
Okay, well, this is, I mean, I just don't want it in the minutes,
Sure.
but, you know, historically, have you read what's happened in Hunter Valley years ago? Yes, there were, you know, murders on them, thinking, oh God, no, we're gonna put the jail there. It's like, here we go again, you know, it's like, you know,
There was what?
murder.
Okay,
And it was,
in one of the quarries or?
well, that was the area.
Okay,
Yeah, there was it's quite famous. There's a book that's been written and you can find it or you buy it in the Monroe County History Center of one of the legends, if you will, or happenings in Monroe County. And it's like, there we go.
So I guess this brings up, do we need to be part of the discussion of the jam site? If we're arguing about a fill site, next impeding the use did.
duh, Mr. Obvious. I missed that.
Yeah, because I hadn't heard of this.
Heard to me.
It's in the WTIU, supposed to June 3rd, so just.
So I know that I don't believe I've seen any formal petition requests. I
Yeah,
believe it's
it's
still,
just a proposal.
even if it's a government entity, they still have to go through the permitting process. It's just a little bit different. There's usually not fees associated with government entities. That includes like fire departments and things like that.
Since they're having another listening session, I'm guessing that's tomorrow at the Ellettsville Fire Department. And the North Park landowner is expected to attend. So it's just a listening session with the commissioners.
Or what is that?
Doesn't say, it's just, well, more available.
Transparency.
No,
it might have been last week, Wednesday.
I'll call the History Center tomorrow. I'll find out the name of the book.
Sounds interesting.
Huh?
Sounds interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Does.
It was a big deal, you know, I think it was maybe before
Timeframe was
I was born, I don't know, a long time ago, but it was
Calendar.
a big deal. Of course, that was like no man's land, so remote out there that it's, you know.
back then. Yeah.
Because tomorrow we have a plan commission meeting at 5:30.
A listening session with the community.
I don't see it on the events calendar.
Yeah.
They had two of them a couple weeks ago. So I don't know when that article was written, but I think that the listening sessions happened already.
Okay.
I can tell you how hard it is to get a board member for your township board appointed through the county commissioners. How long that'll take, over a year.
So after a listening session, then it would go.
That sounds a bit
to
disgruntled.
It's very
process,
irritating.
things like
really.
this.
Yeah,
Then it
so,
goes to planning.
yeah, if they are, it would be reviewed, there would be a pre-design, which is the opportunity for planning staff to kind of comb through the PUD ordinance to make sure that that particular use is permitted. And if it's not, then we would inform them of that, and then they would have to go through an outline plan amendment process, similar to what the Milestone contractors are doing for the North Park 2 PUD, which is they're adding a different land use classification to the PUD ordinance. So essentially, if they chose that site and it wasn't already permitted use, the county commissioners have to request that and go through the planning procedures. So then that would just kind of similarly follow along with plan review committee and go to plan commission, and so forth. With, of course, historic preservation moments of review as well.
Yeah. Keep our ear out for that.
Yep. Okay. Any other updates in old business items A through H?
I do have a question about J. And I may have missed this. I think there was an email and I'm not remembering correctly. We had asked that they fix,
Yes, the language.
change the language. Did that happen?
I am not sure.
They're calling concrete block walls, dry stack stone walls, and we just can't have any of that going on. So either of you recall hearing back? I thought there was some letter response, but
And do you want to follow up on that?
I can follow up.
Okay, thank you.
somewhere in the back of my mind, the letter from somebody in Indianapolis saying, thank you for the clarification referring to that. I reading it, but I don't.
Make sure the company gets the memo. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if we can just see if that landed.
All right. We are moving on to item I, which is the policy overlay rezone on page 12 packet. And I believe we have the petitioners online as well. They're here in attendance. So I will, nothing I believe has changed other than in this report, other than I included the floor plan attachments that is provided. And in May, some of the board members, I'm not sure how many, made a site visit to review the.
With Holly, Devin, and me.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't make it.
Clarification.
Place.
So again, the petition site is 0.74 acres, it's in Salt Creek Township, 6056 East State Road 46. It's currently zoned for residential. And they are seeking the historic preservation overlay. The property itself, the structure there is on the IHSSI survey and which ranks it as contributing. There are several other residential structures along this corridor of, I believe, State Road 45, State Road 46, excuse me, that are also contributing. I have a map in the packet here. It was formerly operated as the Southern Comfort Bed and Breakfast. The property owners, current property owners, petitioners have stated they don't have any interest in operating it as a bed and breakfast. They just want to preserve the historic qualities of the structure. Want to know more about the property in itself through this process. As part of the review of this board, there is there are these criteria that must be evaluated in order for this board to provide a recommendation. That's from chapter 810-3, which is on the screen. And it's numbers 1 through 7. So to be identified as a historic or architecturally worthy building, structure, or place must possess one or more of the following significant attributes. I'm not going to read them because they're on the screen here. They're also in the packet. But essentially, either the petitioner is to suggest which ones of these their property meets, or the board, HP board can also assist in offering suggestions of which ones they believe would fit based on site visit information and other attachments that have been included in the report. So I'm not sure if the members that attended the site visit, would you want to give a recap of what you saw or what you thought?
I wanted to mention, I know that we looked at the carriage house and there was some discussion of the timing of that. We also gave verbally, and I did not write them down, which was my mistake, some suggestions for follow-up for petitioners in terms of looking into details. Polly, do you remember?
I remember we
On that
recommended they look for flat maps, even though that was pretty far out of town, right? But to look up and see if they can figure out, pinpoint the age of the home a little bit more. more, and then when the carriage house was added,
Right. Because it did,
certainly younger than the house.
it wasn't a direct obvious that it would have been built when the main part of the house. In the basement, we were able to see the add-on section in the back and a good look as the board and batten was this position in probably what, the 70s or the 80s. And we're not sure what's under that. And they're not either. But the attic areas showed really nice retention of the original wood and the trusses. We could see actually how that all lays out to that nice roof line that you saw. And the flooring, some of the original flooring, it looks really cool inside. The yard itself doesn't appear to have anything substantive to it. They've done some really nice gardens, but they don't appear to be. Sorry. Anything else you can think of?
We discussed what HP overlay means in terms of them as a homeowner, that, you know, if it came time they wanted to replace the 1970s siding on the outside, you know, they could contact us for recommendations. The windows that are historic should stay there, but if they wanted to in the future replace some of the placement windows with something more appropriate, they could ask us for recommendations, that kind of thing, explain that.
My brain is now remembering Devin talking about this as one of the owners. We're trying to date the house. One of the owners did serve in the Civil War and they were going to do more research on that.
Okay.
That the original builder then? Owner home?
That's unknown. That's why plat maps and deeds research might be needed to do a little bit more there.
So do we want to go ahead and open discussion for the petitioners? Do they have updates for us about anything? See if you could allow Shannon and Creighton to speak.
And they have two really big dogs. Just like a big dog.
All right.
They're big dogs. You
Giant.
have to agree with me.
They're very
Giant puppies. Yeah.
All right, so if you want to share any of the updates or provide more information the board's talked about, go ahead.
Well, I just, again, we just wanted to thank everyone for taking this time to spend time on this and with us and trying to work through this. I think in terms of kind of looking at the list here of the 7 kind of areas to pick from, yeah, when we had Susan and Polly and Devin out, a lot of kind of what, I agree, yeah, a lot of what we were seeing were kind of hard to date. A lot of it was kind of a mixture of the outsiding with maybe some of the 70s and the door, maybe from the 40s, and the windows maybe were added in maybe in the 20s. It's still the kind of pulley style in the bedrooms on the first floor and in the kitchen. But I mean, just one thing I just wanted to mention though, and we can provide pictures for this, but what we found is like the most fascinating part of this, kind of what started this, is the down in the basement where I would call it a seal plate, but it's more of they did it in a beam. So it was a hand hewn beam that goes around the perimeter. And we just found that really fascinating. And I mean, that just kind of tells us the house has to be structurally old.
Yes, absolutely.
The other thing that also that kind of drives us with this is the property was purchased in 1851 by Mr. Allen, who in 1861 drafted into the Civil War, where he was, I believe, stationed out of, well, it was New Albany area. Just what we don't really know is if he's the actual person that built the house. We haven't really been able to get down to that part yet. But I mean, I would just personally, I'm not sure when they stopped doing beam construction and went into something more modern. But I mean, if I was to guess, it was either Mr. Allen or somebody there soon after that originally built this the house. And then like the third thing that we also found interesting that I think Susan pointed out was this Arbutus Hill, which is, I think, I mean, literally just about one property away from us in the Twin Leaf Lane area. So that's kind of where we're at so far. It's been kind of it's been too warm outside, so we've kind of we haven't been able to do as much digging. So this is just kind of where we're at with it at the moment.
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
I think the two things that Devin mentioned and you alluded to them as you were talking is and maybe Christine Friesel can direct you as to how to do this. And because I'm not sure what they have at the library, but it seems that a complete deed research might be very helpful in establishing who owned it before and then looking at the tax records, because the tax records may show improvement. So when the house was built, could be documented from the tax records, which is typically how that information is obtained.
Okay.
Would we be able to see anything pre-1900, which is where the tax record starts now?
What's online is not the tax record. It's the GPS records.
When they go
Okay.
1900, it is a placeholder usually.
Yeah, it goes back to 1816. So in the
Okay.
hard copy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just a process of getting into the right place to start looking.
Okay.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
description, the location description, that's your key. So you have that,
Mhm.
whether 53, whatever it ends up. I've forgotten what township you're in, Salt Creek, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't think of that as Salt Creek because it's right up there on 46, but yeah, that's.
Campaign, and that's a way for somebody to
Yes,
say,
yeah, you trustee over here. So looking into that, and would the township records have anything?
Probably not.
Yeah,
They need to keep property records for that.
that's the next thing is just to look at the tax record and the deeds. And then just do a really deep dive on this Allen character. Do his genealogy, see what you could find out about him,
Okay.
his service record. And again, Christie can help you at the library because they have databases that go into Fold 3 and you can get his service record and, find out what he did. And
Is that the lady at the Indiana room?
Christine Cruz at the library. And the History Center you've been to, yes, a couple times.
Yes. I'm not sure about the History Center.
Okay, well, I'm gonna see Megan next week. And I can ask her if she has any thoughts on what they might have, but you might give her a call, the History Center.
And what was her name again at the
Megan
History Center?
McDonald. Megan McDonald,
Oh, Megan. Okay.
yeah. She handles the research room.
Okay.
They're probably too far out of town for Sandmore maps, probably.
Well, we did talk about the Sandmore maps and we did you have a chance to dig into those? Again, Christine
Bill?
can help with that, to get you into the Sanborn maps. Cause it may be that you weren't too far out for the Sanborn maps to come out. Those are
Was
the
that the,
firefighting maps.
The fire, yeah.
Yeah.
we looked into that, but from what I looked into, we're a little too far out of the map area.
I figured, yeah.
I think the last place that we got to with Christine was she was pulling up the census data for us on section 5 for Salt Creek. And like we're having difficulty, and she was as well, like reading the name that's listed on the census itself. Which, I mean, obviously they're handwritten, so.
For
and then,
1850 or 1860? Are you looking at both?
I think, yeah, I think both. She sent us two, and it was just difficult to like make out the name. I mean, she has the record showing that Mr. Allen purchased the property from the federal government in 1851, but we can't actually see Mr. Allen's name on the census record that she put. In fact, we can't make out the name at all, which she had trouble doing as well, which she said is common. I guess if they're going door to door, writing it down.
That's where the tax records are probably more clear.
Okay.
They collected money. The records are a little more reliable.
Isn't it funny? We always know who owes us money, but we always forget who we owe money to.
I don't know, those records are pretty good. I'll continue to look into the deed and the tax records till we can find out when that house may have been built.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's about all we have really for right now.
So it sounds like both the petitioner and the board don't quite know which of the criteria will be met for the recommendation. Does this board want to entertain a motion to continue this to provide more time for the petitioner? Because the way that this moves forward is you provide a recommendation based on their submitted materials to the Plan Commission. And then it goes from the Planning Commission to the county commissioners, just like any rezone process would. So by continuing it, it does extend the trajectory of when they might see final approval from the county commissioners. But if more information is needed from this board to provide a positive recommendation, then it might be in the interest of petitioner and the property itself that it get continued again to provide more time.
Well, let me ask the question and you tell me how to say it. I think there's good potential, but we do need more information or facts.
Okay.
So how do we word that?
You can word it as simply as a motion to continue this petition to provide the property owner more time to compile.
Does that work for you all?
Yeah, I guess.
They were favorably disposed, we're like going towards that.
I do have a question, like the documents that Christine sent, so I'm just trying to understand what else additional we'd be asking her to help us research. So she sent us the actual, I guess it's the purchase agreement itself that was signed by Mr. Allen purchasing Section 5 of Salt Creek in 1851. So is there, I guess, what kinds of documents are you looking for that we would need to supply in addition to something like that?
Well, I guess the question would be, was that the first time the property was deeded, which should be a part of the deed? And then the tax records, which would be from a different source in the county. We're just going to go together.
What we don't know is when he bought it, how long did he wait before he built a house? It may have been a farm. It may have been a farm for a while.
And was there a house there when he bought it?
Yeah.
Squatters. Don't know.
There could be.
Which would give you an older date.
Knowing the age of the property is different than the age of the property ownership is different than the age of the house. So just really trying to narrow in on the age of the house structure itself.
Yeah. So what would you need to be able to date the house? The structure.
Tax records, because you start paying taxes when you build it.
Okay.
We may not get an exact date, but we can say it had to be there by such and such a date, because they protect the house.
And we may not get a date, but we could say by this date, the house was in place.
Okay. And I'm just, one last question, just kind of looking at the list here, of attributes, the, number 3, the distinctive characteristics, type, period, method of construction. I mean, does, again, how would, I mean, how would we go about, I mean, I guess in your opinion, do you feel like if something's made out of hand-hewed beams, is that something that's distinctive in Monroe County? Is that something worthwhile?
Is that beam sitting right on the foundation and then they built up on top of that beam?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
I'm hearing is,
Are there adze marks and tool marks on the beam?
There
that you can
are.
see? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
It looked like it was cut with an axe.
Yeah.
Photographs of that would be good to add to the application, because that'll be in your hall.
Very, very detailed of some of those, because some of those are nice chunks. You know, and they
Okay.
show in it, the longer,
Photographs of the windows too, things like that.
and in the main living room area, the former gathering room, there's some wood exposed there too that I thought had some character that could be of value.
In the room with the dumbwaiter, the beam there.
The beam that they painted.
You'll appreciate the dumbwaiter is obviously not something they put in 1851, but the problem was they couldn't get the appliances down to the basement. So they put in the dumbwaiter to get the appliances down to the basement, so get the old ones up.
I'd really try to investigate the tax records. I know that really.
Tax records should be part of the answer, and research Mr. Allen, his war history.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay,
for
this-
tax,
I can maybe help with some of that if I get the man's name. I may be able to look online and see if I can find it.
Do you know where he's buried?
He's in, I think he was buried, he's in Kansas.
So they moved on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he served in the 38th Infantry,
Mm-hmm.
in Indiana. The, Indiana Veteran Volunteer Infantry, Company
We should-
1.
We should look at
That's a good regiment, actually. That's a respected regiment from Indiana.
We also want to know when he left Monroe County and if he has any descendants here. All of that could be useful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we were having trouble trying to find when he left Monroe County.
Yeah, he did
Well,
die in Kansas in 1888. And then of course, the record shows that he bought this land in 1851. So I don't know when he left Indiana, sometime after the Civil War, obviously, since he served in the infantry and then went to Kansas where he died.
Amazingly made out of.
Land records in Kansas might establish when he moved there.
Okay.
You might want to check the Kansas records.
What's the first name?
James.
James Allen.
I also wonder about the census, whether he shows up in the 1870 census in Indiana or 1880 census in Indiana. If he doesn't show up, then perhaps he's moved. Yeah.
Hmm.
He could have stopped at Illinois on the way. I don't know, but
And it's actually William G. Allen. is his
Yeah,
name.
okay. All right, I'll dig around tonight. and see if I find anything. with
You can doodle around a little bit.
so for tax records, you might try the auditor's office, Monroe County Auditor's Office.
Okay.
And for deed history, you might try the recorder's office. For plats, You might try the surveyor's office, although their information might be a little more difficult to trudge through. Or it might be more difficult to locate. Hopefully, you'll get something good from the auditor's office and the recorder's office.
Okay.
Finally, I think something that would be beneficial for the next time after you've done some more compiling of research is if you, under this category, if you were to select a few of these criteria that you think fit, and then underneath them, provide, your own little narrative about why you think that's important. So for example, if you wanted to say something about, the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, or method of construction, and then underneath that you put, the language about the beam, or other architectural, or construction, pointers on that. Then, through your additional research, if you find any of these other criteria to be met, you can provide a little, synopsis about that. And then
Okay.
from there, the board can, either, strengthen that language, or agree to it, or, say, maybe not that one, but maybe at least this other one, because you only need, one, to receive. So that's just some information that's helpful, for the board to review, is hearing it from your own words and in your own research, which of these, you think fit.
Okay.
And then just one more thing, and this could be one of those wild hairs, is check with the university archives to see if they might have any information about runs to to find the trailing arbutus and all of the activities that took place, because it happened right there, 200 feet
Yeah.
from now.
Right.
Check with university archives and they'll show you how to go online and see the documents that are available. You may have to go and do some research at the library and check out what's available, but they're usually pretty good about looking for you. Tell them what you're doing and why. And did you happen to have a chance to see that YouTube video I mentioned?
Yes.
We did. Yeah. We did watch
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So
That was
that-
great.
Kind of give you a sense of it's right there in your backyard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had to stop somewhere for water. Maybe it was at that house. I don't.
Would that be
Never
something
know.
that would fit in number 7? Where would that?
I think we need to just make sure it's in there because now if the university archives anecdotally mention a farmhouse that's nearby, you just don't know until you start looking.
Okay.
Well, hey,
And there-
we do know this was a apple orchard, back in that time. So maybe they stopped here and
Some apples.
had some apples for a snack before they.
Well, it's pretty rugged. I mean, we're talking, it's rugged back there.
I can't wait to see the tax records. That's, yeah, that's what I want to say.
And then I'm hearing you all, it seems like you want some input on the architectural style. We were just discussing, is it a double pen home?
I don't know. I never.
I'm not good with the stage.
Yes, it's
Double pen, right? So that's what you can put for the architectural style. I think that's B, whatever that is.
Oh, sorry. I can go
It's
back
okay.
up to it. I'm gonna go down to the floor plan, but we can go back.
Yeah, number 3, so B3, the architectural type or period method of construction, so it's a double pen home. You could put with hand hewn beams, have photographs with,
Okay.
this style of windows, XYZ. And I'm remembering, wasn't there a chimney encased in a wall that?
Yes.
It's exposed when they get in there.
It was. It's some of it. Yeah. It's exposed in one of the bedroom on the first floor.
Yeah, documenting that, because that helps understand the double bed style.
Yeah, so you have one chimney that's in the middle of the structure right now. I wondered if there was one on both ends too.
Well, there is a second chimney it's hard. It looks like it has been, some of it replaced, some of it looks old. That one's kind of hard to tell. It's tied to the fireplace in the living room. The other one, it kind of comes all the way up from the basement. It just goes from the basement all the way up out of the roof. That would be in bedroom number 1. That's where this chimney, I believe, it's just has not been altered in any way as far as I can tell. And it does have those where there was a boiler or some attached to it at some point or something down in the basement.
Yeah. So I can imagine that they probably took the chimneys down when they re-roofed it at some point, if the chimney was in bad shape. They weren't using it, maybe. They just roofed right over it.
Yeah.
And photographs of the chimney, because obviously any photographs you put on there will help with the application process, but future homeowners can reference those photographs that you submitted.
Okay.
So that'll be very useful.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I appreciate it. This is great. Thank you.
I think I can dig in for you and see if I can find him in the census. And I can probably find his military records.
Okay.
And if I find that stuff, I'll send it to Drew.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. You mentioned about the 38th Infantry. It seemed to be quite a popular or well known, because I did find the history on that one, how kind of like their journey all the way down south and then back up.
Yeah, they were one of the earliest ones that had to do with Monroe County.
Interesting.
Apparently Alan
What
was
were the number earlier? They got up to 156.
Ooh.
So 38 is
Really?
pretty low. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You have a question?
Regiments?
Yeah. But starting with number 6.
Okay.
Because they didn't renumber the ones that they had used for Mexico. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Smaller conflict.
So I'll make a motion to continue the application. Allow the homeowners to gather some more information and we can consult on that.
So we need a motion to do that. So moved,
So,
however we word it.
there's been a motion to continue REZ 24-4, the Thomas HP overlay rezone, to provide the petitioner more time to acquire information and materials for the petition. I will call the roll.
Okay.
Don Hall.
Aye.
Debbie Reed.
Yes.
Doug Wilson.
Yes.
Don Maxwell.
Yes.
Susan Snyder Salmon.
Yes.
Hollywood Surgeon.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. If you don't have any questions or need further assistance, let me know and I can either try my best to assist or forward you on to some of the other members of this board. Given that this is another continuance, I will update you with the projected meeting schedule for you. Because it does delay it a little bit more. But I will provide that for you to kind of get an idea of if there were to be a recommendation made in July, which is going to be July 15th. What you'll expect, when you'll expect the plan commission meeting and the eventual county commissioners meeting.
Okay.
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 All right.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for all your work.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you've given us a lot, so this is great.
There's nothing else to do in the 95-degree heat, is there?
Well, yeah, it's a little too hot now.
So next on old business is section 106 letter culvert replacement carrying Avenue over to Clear Creek. This is a follow-up email I received. So there's like some discussion going on between the Army Corps as well as I believe it's the state agency. So, let's see. Yes. So they've been talking about back and forth about some information that I emails from their correspondence. I believe it's, this one's in relation to a memorandum of agreement. This is from Beth Ford, from the State Historic Preservation Officer to Lee Ellen Atz, which is the Army Corps Engineers Archaeologists. They're returning the memorandum of agreement so that it may be transmitted with the accompanying documentation to the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. The MOA may be transmitted using electronic section 106 documentation. So I believe this is just a formality email or letter about just information. So what we talked about earlier is I will reach out to the project coordinator, just confirm that the HP board's comments were reviewed or changes were made on those documents. That's it for that one. And then the last thing on our agenda is the 2024 work plan updates. So I will open that.
Before we launch into that, because we suggest that we take a moment to meet our visitor. For those of you that
Have you already submitted for,
Yes, I did so last week, I think the middle of last week.
could you just introduce yourself and tell me why you're saying?
Sure. My name's Colby Wicker. I recently submitted an application to become a member of this board. My understanding is that you all have had a vacancy on here for a somewhat extended period of time. I just graduated from Indiana University in May. I graduated with a degree in history. I focused on American history and did a lot of deep digging into Indiana state history while I was there. Worked with Professor Eric Sandweiss pretty extensively. Really interested in state and local government is where I want to go into. And so therefore, I'm really interested in a lot of state and local history.
Go to a master's program.
I'm going to go into law school.
Law school. Okay.
I started at Mauer here in August.
Great.
And so I've done a lot of work in local government here. I've worked at the Van Buren Township Trustee's Office for about 4.5 years now.
She's a sweetheart.
Yes, she is spectacular. And in that role, one of the first jobs that I got thrown into was we had a garage out back in which we had all of our old records. And so,
I got a file.
yeah. And so I went out there and I digitized a lot of that stuff. There were old deeds going back to like 1857.
Wow.
And so it was a ton of fun to go.
School records.
Yes, yeah.
Lots of grade.
It was a farmer donating about a 3/4 of an acre lot to turn it into a one-room schoolhouse. And we thought that we got into trouble because it's as a condition of the transfer, he said if a school is not on his property, then it's supposed to revert back to me, and he still has family. And so I was like, oh no. I'm like, this is, but I went to the reporter's office and did some digging through all that stuff, and it seemed like that had been taken away at some point. I think it was reverted back to him, and then he sold it normally afterwards. So
They did the paperwork on it.
yes, yeah. So the reporter's office was good to work with me on that a couple of years ago, and so
Hey, that's
Yeah.
the real deal. That's history.
yeah, it was super fun. And so history's always been a big passion of mine, and I think that doing more to preserve what we have here is really important, not just for now and to help us understand what's going on, but to help the future generations also. And so state and local government is where I want to be. And so this is like right at the ground level and doing some really important work. And so I'd love to be a part of that going forward.
I think it's okay with me.
When, I did so on Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and it says that your application will be reviewed, and so I have no idea what the timeline on something like that was. but-
It's next month's agenda.
Great,
Thank you.
Yes.
thank you.
For next meeting, whether you're
Yeah,
approved
yeah,
or not, it's probably gonna happen, but it may not happen.
yeah, I've been keeping an eye on your all minutes and all that over the past couple of months. The idea sort of got into my head around January, and so I've been talking to some of my mentors and things, and they've said, we think that's a good idea, but I wanted to wait until I graduated first, and so, and then I was gone last month, and so this was, I didn't want to say sign up for something and then be gone for 2 meetings right as soon as we started, so I thought, so I was back, and I'm here for forever going forward so far as I'm concerned, so.
How did you hear about the opening?
I was interested in getting involved somewhere on some board, and when I saw historic, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what's going on here.
Okay.
And then I just from sort of digging around, it seemed like there had been,
County website or something?
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, but the vacant, how long has that's popped? It's been over a year, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that was what my understanding was, so.
Do you have any questions for us?
I was really interested to see some of the projects that you all were working on, including the dry laid stone walls. I did my freshman year, I did a little capstone project on the dry laid stone walls, of which I found out in a few minutes before that a lot of my information was totally wrong.
I said it was perhaps not 100% accurate.
Yes, no, but that's not good. This is how the learning happens. And so, but yes, I don't know what the question was there. I've gotten sidetracked there.
Well, Colby was one of my star pupils, so.
Yes. And Mr. Wilson was always one of my favorite teachers when I was at Edgewood. I'm from Ellisville. I went through the Edgewood school system, and so Monroe County's been home forever.
And so Don used to, I don't know if your paths would ever cross, but he used to come and observe me at Edgewood
Oh, really?
as the IU ACP kind of.
Okay, well then I'm sure that we might have been in the same room together at times too.
It's been-
I don't know how many years it's been since
It's
you've
been a
been
while
up.
since I've done it.
Yeah,
I was in your class 2018, 2019, I think, so.
I mean, that would have
I don't know
been
if that would have crossed.
close to about when you ended up.
Yeah.
I might add too that my association, Colby, before, this evening and the board, there's a group of individuals, rural citizens, fighting annexation. And I can't thank you enough for all of your help, everything that he has done. The last, how many years, 4 or 5, well, since roughly about 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That whole
yeah.
stuff.
It's just been incredible, everything you've done.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you very, very
How
much.
old were you when you started on that?
So I don't go back as far as it begins. My mentor, my boss, Rita Barrow, she's been in it for that long.
Yes.
And so I jumped in, I started working for the township in 2020 in January. And I really got plugged in with the annexation stuff that summer of 2021, so the summer of my freshman year. And that's when we formed County Residents Against Annexation, and I think July 5th, 2021 was the day that we incorporated, so. And we've just been going since then, and so,
Margaret Barron in that?
Margaret Clements. Yes.
He's been an incredible force. And I know Rita Barrow, she would just tell you all these remarkable things he's done. Margaret Clements would say the same thing. Again, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
And how exciting that you're applying for this board. Thank you.
Well, there are some esteemed people, and certainly two people who I know pretty well, and two people who I look up to. So if there's any place that I can sit with them at, I'd take that up just at any time. So.
Well, we would have taken a warm body, I think.
Hopefully,
Really glad to have somebody that wants to be here.
That's for sure. It's not a-
Consensus on Colby's appropriate consideration. Would there be anything affirmative that we could do before a decision was discussed to make it move faster?
Still like Mr. Three up there.
Page reviews resume and application
I don't know, I could have,
to the
Yeah.
board. Yeah.
I could have uploaded a resume, but if it wasn't on the thing where it said upload your resume, then I did upload a resume. But if
Yeah,
it did,
it
then I
does. I
did.
don't think it does.
So, okay, then I'm happy to forward that to Drew.
Give it to Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to send that to you and email or, and if there's anything else that you need on my end that would be helpful, I would be more than happy to pass that forward. I think I wrote 4 or 5 sentences on why I would be interested in
Yeah, it's a pretty
this.
small.
Yeah, on the application portal. But if you want something more extensive, I'd be happy to work something like that up too.
I think showing up is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting work for the board.
Yeah, no,
Really is.
yeah, I mean, just reading through some of the stuff that you've been working on in the past 6 months is, I can tell, it's important, and,
It
and,
is.
and really, really interesting, especially for somebody in my disposition, so.
Yeah, sometimes we find out about things a little bit too late. That's the sad stuff, but usually we have a chance to do it.
Thank you for letting me. For that.
Yeah, thank you for letting me say a few words, I appreciate that too.
And before I go to new business, Debbie, did we not have something new on Sunset Hill?
Yes, is this the appropriate time to?
Yeah, you can add that. That is,
That's an old business.
that's an old business item. I didn't have any updates, but if you all have updates for that.
A lady by the name of Susan Brackney contacted me a couple of weeks ago. The exact date fails me at this moment. But anyway, and she has been working tirelessly to help with Sunset Hill. And of course, our last meeting, we were all looking at each other asking, wonder if anything's being done. And then boom, this lady's introduced to me and she was asking at that time, she didn't know I was on the board or anything. She was asking about limestone in the area. And of course, there's Ralph Rogers, Rogers Group, the aggregate quarries, just on and on and on. So, that was fun. We enlisted Clay Stuckey as well. So it was really fun. But anyway, I remember I had emailed, I think, to the entire board, something, a little blurb about this. And I know she has she kept saying she had a hard deadline of June, was it 17th?
26.
26,
The
okay.
filing deadline for the next session of meeting schedules for.
Oh, okay.
Everything.
So that's what it would.
And it sounds like, I don't think I'm saying anything that I should, but it sounds like she has quite a few people on board, not everyone, but quite a few people. She's done a tremendous amount of work. So I really look forward to seeing her presentation and she's
Yeah,
got wonderful things.
The email you sent, I remember I sent a note back because I wasn't sure how the Kevin Vet Clinic all fit into the big picture.
She was aware, she knew Julie Kevin, Dr. Kevin's daughter. That's all I really know at this point. I don't know what all's been included, what hasn't been included, but we were all talking about Dr. Kevin and the vet clinic, and of all things, Julie, the daughter, has been. Now, that's all I know. But,
Okay, well, she probably still owns property.
well, I don't know. That's why I don't want to say it.
Area between Second Street and Third Street there.
Yes, right, just south of, go to Culver's and go south.
Right.
Yeah. Where the old gas station used to be,
Right.
just now off of
You know where?
Vernal Pike.
I don't know what this really is, whether it's condominiums, apartments, student housing, but it's called the Dillon, Dillon.
That sounds real familiar, yeah.
Okay, well, how about this? Hinkle Hamburgers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, everybody knows Hinkle. We're gonna put this in perspective.
I used to live right down the corner.
Okay, Hinkle Hamburgers, and a little donut shop. Okay, and there's all this huge, complex. It's called the Dillon. A lot of people live there. Well, that used to be, Ralph Rogers Group, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so all that area, she's
was our
talking about
first quarry, right?
Culver's. Yeah, all of that to the, south and, west.
Yeah, okay.
But that's, and then I will say this, I did hear that the Sunset Mill, which, the old feed mill, which would just make an incredible venue for community, community events and all. It is privately owned, and I'm not sure if the people are totally on board. So if any of you know any of them, try to get them on board, and because that would be great.
Thanks. Thought there was something there.
I got a geography teacher in IU that lived over there.
Thank you for that update. Any work plan dates to share? I don't have any because a lot of my time has gone to the CLG work. So I don't have any updates for the website or anything else. I went ahead and crossed off Limestone Month Festival because that's completed.
That was Saturday. Do you want to report on that?
Sure.
Yeah, it was successful. It was not as busy as last year. I think the heat kept a lot of people home. But a lot of good conversations. Susan did great. What's putting this together? I'll let you talk about that.
This is a copy for you. I wanted something, I talked about it before, and engage people. And I was surprised with the number of parents that took their children and looked at the display and actually worked through it with them. And if you need the key, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, because I did it so like a second grader could figure it out. But there was some good engagement. And I think anytime you have any engagement, that's good. The folks from Bedford at the Limestone Museum were there, and we connected as well. So I think that, they're not a government body, but they had some nice information. And I may do a wall presentation for them sometime in the future. But it was, and we had a donation of Indiana stone, the limestone things, which anybody who tried the quiz, and almost everybody, even if they got the numbers wrong, they got one.
Yeah, so successful. We had a lot of return vendors or, organizations and a couple of new ones as well. I don't know what the future is for next year. The plan with my administration of the Geological Survey was always to have 3 years of the event and then reassess. So I will meet with them in the next few months, not this month, I have too much going on, but probably in July or August, and then we'll.
So much, there was so much competition in town.
Yeah.
Farmers markets, just everywhere competition.
That's what I was thinking when I was talking to Susan, or heard some of her comments. I think you all are running into the same thing we did years ago when we were hosts for the barn tour. Wow, to come up with a date was, where we didn't have 50 other things going.
Are you football?
Oh, yeah, it was really a feat in itself. So maybe even a slight switch of the calendar or something, if that would even be possible. Because it's such a great idea.
Yeah, we've entertained the idea of having it outside of June since, Limestone Month. It makes it an obvious fit. But there's just so much. The beginning of June is Grand Falloon and the handmade market. And I mistakenly scheduled it on the same year as that, my first year. So that made attendance down. Last year, we moved the date to the Father's Day weekend, and that seemed popular. And this year, there was some other things in town also on Father's Day weekend. So
it's tricky. It's really tricky.
And I'd really like to involve the Limestone Heritage Park if and when that gets off the ground. Just because A lot of people in the county don't know about that. So I think there's potential, but I don't know what the future of the event is.
Well, it's a lot of work for you and your crew. They're tireless.
But it's such a great
That's
idea.
generous.
A great idea. So like, see, maybe it can be tweaked even more, because I know you've tweaked it already 50 million times, but you know, I hate for it to fall.
The information for the fall, to skip to the last thing, for the camp and the conference, are we facing deadlines there that we need to make decisions? I agree you sent that on, but my brain didn't retain the dates.
You want a scholarship, you gotta do something soon, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure of what deadlines are coming up for that quite yet. I can look back.
Usually it's early August.
August 2nd.
Okay.
Anybody want to attend?
I'm thinking of going to that. I am, but I'm not gonna ask for a scholarship.
I think it's in Madison.
You actually should. We get two.
I could let somebody.
Yeah, two.
So
Share the room.
I mean, if you want to go, you should go. And if the second one goes unused, then I would again go. I mean, I always pick up something.
It's in Madison. It was
Yeah.
lovely.
Is this the one in October that you're talking about? I'm going as part, IU has a scholarship, so I'll like to be down. I'm really excited about it.
It's really worthwhile.
Yeah.
And the program looks really good. So and if you get a roomie, it's really half price, so it works out. So it's good. Anybody else interested in being able to go? I know a lot of people have jobs that don't have them.
Yes, too much in the middle of the week.
I didn't think I would just go to camp that one day.
They did camp online last year.
Yeah, I attended.
And that worked out, and you always pick up something.
I don't know if it's going to be online again this year. I didn't see anything about
I don't
that.
think so.
Just need to make decisions next month then.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have any other work for me. Can you scroll down?
Yes.
I'll get with Devin with what I've done on demolition delay. I've already used the Bloomington as a base and just need to do a couple more changes and I'll send it off.
Okay.
I showed you part of it, didn't I? Send
Yeah,
it?
you brought in a packet.
Need a motion to adjourn, or are we at the end here?
Anybody else have anything? Okay, we'll call the meeting to close.
All right.
Thanks to all.
I'm trying to send something that's not about that house, if I can.
Yeah, that's-
Thank you, TSD.